to sit down and relax. Sorry, I was surprised a bit for that prompter. So I am pleased, everyone, to welcome you all for tonight's webinar, and thank you so much once again for your attendance, for your presence this evening. And now to discuss with us his topic on research and continues, disseminating research findings and conceptualizing further inquiries, especially for the summary of learning and quantitative research. Please allow me to present to you in a while our resource speaker for this evening. But in a moment, in a minute, please let me remind to you the house rules for this webinar. May I request everyone to please turn off your microphone, your audio especially, so that we cannot interfere or we cannot distract the discussion of our speaker later on. And we also request you to rename your account names in the platform. If you could follow the format like the initial of your institution, like for example, PNU for Philippine Normal University, and then your surname and first name, please do that. For example, since I am from University of Antique, so that is UA de la Fuente Cyril. In that format, please. Thank you so much for your compliance. And now, please allow me to focus the spotlight for our resource speaker this evening. He is a Master Teacher 1 at Gordon Heights National High School, Gordon Heights, Olongapo City, Philippines. Ladies and gents, my fellow colleagues in academe and research instruction practice, please welcome Dr. Floyd G. Aquino. Dr. Floyd, please take it away.
Thank you, Sir Cyril, and to the rest of the member of ETCOR. Good morning, good evening, everyone. So I am privileged that I was invited in this kind of platform wherein professionals and experts in research are here. Yung nakakatuwa po na nakakaba actually na yung pagbabahagi po ngayong gabing ito. Maraming salamat po kay Dr. Richard Sanchez at sa lahat po ng mga national consultants at officers po natin sa pag-i-invite po sa akin ngayong gabing ito. So let me share my screen. Please, sana po mag-ano tayo. Sa lahat po na nagtatadtad ng kanilang ulam ngayon at nagsasaing. Ayan. So the topic was given to me is all about the research continues, disseminating research findings and conceptualizing further inquiries to be shared by yours truly. So but before that, before we proceed on this topic, pwede bang muna po tayo? Medyo konting konting icebreaker lang po. So sa lahat po ng naka-PC or tablet, kindly say bonjour. Kindly open your microphone for those who are using tablet. Ayan po, pakisabi po, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Okay.
Bonjour.
For those who are using laptop, kindly say hola.
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 Ayun, sa lahat naman po ng gumagamit po ngayon ng data coming from DepEd na malakas na sagana sa load, ni hao. Pakisabi nga po sa lahat ng gumagamit ng data ng DepEd, meron po ba? Yan. So for those who are with complete paraphernalia equipment for webinars, for example, mic, camera, laptop, etc., kindly say konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Okay, thank you. For those who have snacks on their side, anong sayo? Kindly tell that.
Ayan sa'yo.
Ayan, siguro po yung mga naghahaponan, no? So yung mga yung mga naka-formal dress or kabog yung outfit na ngayon, meron po ba na maste? Ayan, mukhang wala po yata. For those who are nakapambahay, ayan. Pakisabi nga po, Assalamualaikum. Ayan, yung mga
Assalamualaikum.
nakapambay na po. Ayan. So mga naki-join sa webinar para may matutunan, kindly say hola.
Hola!
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 So much.
Hola!
Ayan. So much po. So, ito po, after na mapanood po ang episode 10 ng Squid Game, ayan, marami pong number 1 siya ngayon sa Netflix. So, ano po ang plan nyo right after? Pwede po nating i-chat, ayan, para magkaroon lang po tayo ng konting interaction. So, what is your plan right after watching Squid Game episode 10? Wherein na-meet niya yung matanda dito, di ba? Akala nating lahat patay na. Ay, nagiging ano yata ako masyado for those who are not watch yet, no? So, ano po ang plano nyo right after this? Nung napanood nyo po yung episode 10? Or para doon sa mga manunod pa lang? Ayan. Alam natin, sikat na sikat siya ngayon. So, what is your plan? Kindly chat it. Yan, para mabasa lang po natin. Para magkaroon lang po tayo ng konting interaction. Ayan. So, to eat barbecue squid. Okay. The other? How about the others? Okay. So now, right after the pandemic na ito at lumuluwag na mga restrictions, ano po ang plano nyo? Right after na mag-declare na pwede na, may immunity na. May immunity herd na tayo. So what is your plan? Pag lumuwag na po yung mga restrictions, kindly chat it. So what is your plan? Okay, still stay at home. Ayan, swimming. Ayan, nakakatuwa po. Ayan, tour around the world. Wow, travel. Ayan, yung ang dami po. Ayan, outing. Ayan, yun po yung gusto natin, no? Then, another thing, another question. After na makuha ang payslip mo, ano ang plano mo? Ayan. Pwede mo ba natin paki-chat dyan? Ayan, chika to the max. Oh. Ipapo-photocopy. Maglo-loan. Ayan, not what the others. Kino-compute nyo po ba yung mga nakaltas-kaltas sa inyo? Ayan. Payslip lang, walang tira. Invest. Tatago po. Ayan, thank you so much. And lastly, ito po. Right after makagawa ng research, ano po ang plano natin? Ayan, naririnig natin kanina o nababasa natin, it's all about plan. So after making your research, ano po ang plano natin? No, so dito po ngayon ni Inog, itong ating talk for this night, no, yung plan natin right after you do your research para makinabang, no, yung ibang tao with this research. So what we are going to do is to disseminate it. No, but before that, so there's a quote here that Witty says, research is of no use unless it gets to the people who need to use it. No, which is true. Kasi nga po, sabi nga, no, naalala ko yung isang speaker, wala daw madamot na researcher. No, isang virtue na dapat meron tayo o pagpapahalaga as a researcher, na hindi daw tayo dapat greedy, no, when it comes to research. So research is no use unless it gets to the people who need to use it. So marami nangangailangan ng researches natin, hindi lang tayo, kasi there are people, no, na kulang po ng plan to disseminate their research. So here we're going to talk about this dissemination, no, yung research dissemination na sinasabi. So the dissemination, according to the Carlo 2021, it refers to a planned process that involves consideration of target audiences and setting in which research findings are to be received and, where appropriate, communicating and interacting with wider policy and service audiences in ways that will facilitate research, uptake and decision-making process and practices. So let's look on the keywords here, no, a planned process. So hindi lang po ito pag gusto ko na, no? Dito po we need to practice, no, yung sinasabi nating pagpaplano, no, wherein we need to consider those targets, sino yung magiging target audience ko when it comes to dissemination of our work, of our researches. So we will tackle more on the specific areas that we're going to consider in the dissemination of our research. So also here, dissemination refers to the process of sharing research finding with stakeholders and wider audiences. So as I've said a while ago, hindi lang ito para sa atin. Dapat yung research natin is nakikinabang po yung ibang tao rito. No, na hindi lamang here dito sa Pilipinas or your locality, no, sa school na nga lang sa school lang din natin minsan when we have our researches, nagmamaterialize ba, no, yung mga results natin. Dapat yun din yung isang tignan natin when we are doing our researches, kasi no, wala parang hindi po siya kumpleto kapag hindi natin na-implement, no, yung research findings natin. So we need to disseminate it. Then the other one, dissemination is essential for uptake, and the use of research findings is crucial for the success and sustainability. So here, sabi nga natin, kaya nga research, no, kahit paulit-ulit na proseso ito, still, no, hindi po siya dapat stagnant. Kailangan nanganganak siya ng nanganganak yung ating research in order for us, no, to receive the success and sustainability. So also, according to the University of South Australia, stated that dissemination of research finding is an important part of the research process, passing on the benefits to the other researchers, professional practitioners, and the wider community, not only in the Philippines but more so on the other country. Ito nga po yung pagbabahaginan natin, no, when it comes to research findings natin, no, yung mga articles na meron po tayo. So we need to disseminate this research. So effective dissemination is simply about getting the findings of your research to the people who can make use of them to maximize the benefit of the research without the delay. No, kaya nga we need to disseminate these researches because there are researchers also that need some data, no, na kinakailangan po nila in order for them to connect it on their current research, kasi baka kinakailangan na po nila yan, yung mga findings ninyo, no? So ano po yung gagawin natin? We need to disseminate them, these researches. So later we're going to tackle paano po ba natin madi-disseminate itong mga researches natin, on what way. So a research cannot be considered complete until its results are effectively communicated to its users and consumers. Well, in fact, no, ngayon there are lots of universities, no, na hindi ka po makakagraduate, no, sa masters mo unless hindi mo napipresent yan, no, sa body, sa mga tao. Hindi mo napipresent yan sa mga iba't ibang mga institution or group, no. Therefore, communication of research finding is one of the essential and final step of research process. The communication of research finding is communicated through either oral or written means. Later, we will tackle about this, no, yung oral and written means. So, how do we distribute the research findings? First, publishing. No, ito po yung isang hamon po sa atin ngayon, no? Yung publishing, we need to publish our work, no, publishing program or policy briefs, no. Then the other thing is publishing project findings in national journals and statewide publications. So nakakatuwa po, no, na ang ating ETCOR ay magkakaroon na po ng upcoming this January. Will be having our journal na nakakatuwa po na makakapagbahagi po tayo, the same time makakatulong po tayo in the field of knowledge. Then the other one, presenting at national conferences and meetings of professional associations. So dito, ilan na po ba yung na-try na mag-present, no? Sino po dito yung nakatry na pakitype nyo nga po kung ilan na po yung ilang beses na kayo nakatry na makapag-present. Sino po dito yung may mga 10 pataas yung presentation? Ayan. Ako po nabigyan ako ng, ayun po yung nakakatuwa sa research. Let me share my experience, no? Sa pamamagitan din po kasi ng research. Isa po ako dun sa nakatanggap sa DepEd nung meron yung nilabas silang pondo na wherein pwede ka mag-present outside the country. Kaya po ako nabigyan naman ako ng chance na makalabas ng bansa sa pamagitan po ng research. Yun po yung nakakatuwa sa research, na ako po ay nabigyan ng chance to present my work sa Vietnam, sa Ho Chi Minh, wherein mga Pilipinos din and some Vietnamese yung mga nakasama po namin pagdating dito sa pagpipresent ng research. So ang isa sa nakakatuwa rin po when we are having these conferences or meetings pagdating po sa mga presentation ng researches natin, yung talagang kala mo dati ito na yung ko, pero when you attended this, may mas makukuha ka pa, mas may matututunan ka pa pagdating po dito sa mga conferences natin. Then presenting program results to local community groups and other local stakeholders. Ito po, are we doing this? Yung research natin, lalo na, or for example, sa school lang, are we presenting our researches? Halimbawa, sa mga students, di ba, minsan nilalagay natin doon sa mga stakeholders natin who will benefit from your research. After disseminate or after the conduct of research, are we presenting it to them, to the teachers, or more especially, di ba, pag sa DepEd, meron po tayo doon sa basic research natin, there's a plan for dissemination. Are we following it? Doon sa latter part ng researches natin, yung plan of dissemination, are we doing it? So ito po yung mga bagay na dapat natin pag-isipan. So here, ito po yung ilang mga ways, yung sinasabi nating research-based na pagpipresent po ng mga to disseminate yung mga evidences ng mga research natin. First, sa social media, ginagamit na po natin ng social media ngayon to post our works o yung brochures, the journals, and some websites, and then the presentations, the conferences, press releases, and team meetings. So these are some of the evidences na pwede po nating magamit to disseminate our work. So, but before that, napaka-importante, but before the dissemination, there must be planning. Laging may planning. Hindi yung drawing. Pag sinabi nating planning, kasi minsan always sa drawing. Diba? O magyayay magkakaibigan, o tara, gala. Punta tayo sa ganito. O minsan nauwi na sa drawing. So dissemination, we need to plan yung dissemination natin in order for us to be successful in this dissemination of our work. First, to ensure that the project results will be used, research projects must develop a dissemination plan that explains how the outcomes of the project will be shared with the stakeholders, relevant institution, organization, and individuals. At nakakatuwa po na sa pamagitan ng ETCOR, nagagawa po natin ito, na baka dito magkaroon tayo ng realization that we need to do this, yung mga dissemination planning natin. Kasi nga, sabi nga, parang incomplete ang research natin pag hindi natin na-disseminate ito. So, what are the simple rules to consider for innovative dissemination of research? First, get the basics. So, what are the basics that we need to consider in disseminating our research? First, we need to define the objectives and purpose. So what do you want to achieve? For example, raise awareness or understanding or change of practice. How will you know if you are successful and made an impact? So let us be realistic regarding this. No? First, ano ba yung gusto ko? No, why are we doing it? No, yung pag-ano po natin ng researches natin. Is it to raise awareness? No, yung mga research po natin sa mga conferences natin, sa mga symposiums natin in our school or pag nasa DepEd ka, yung mga Slack natin, are we raising awareness na about this? No, ang dami na natin nagagawang research, lalo na po sa DepEd. Ang dami-dami na nating nagagawa, no, na mga minsan funded pa. But the question is, nai-implement ba yung content? No, yun yung biggest na hamon sa atin when it comes to research din nai-implement ba natin yung research natin? So, how will you know if you are successful and made an impact? So, let's try the other criterion. Map potential, target audiences, and stakeholders. So, here, we need to identify who is your audience so that you know what you will need to influence to maximize the uptake of your research. Think who might benefit from using your findings, no? Tingnan natin sino ba yung magbe-benefit, no? Sino yung gagamit ng research natin pag pinublish na po natin yung mga research works natin. So understand how and where your audience looks for receipts or information. Provide information that is captivating to the viewer. Mamaya yung mga for example, yung study mo is all about yung the lives o phenomenological, no, yung living experience ng mga kapatid nating mga aitas no, na sinulat mo yung mga experiences nila, no, nagpeno ka pa tapos pag ipipresent mo na yung result nila sa kanila, so what are you going to use the ano sinasabi sa atin? Maging lang po tayo yung sa paraan na maiintindihan ng mga audience mo. Then, the other thing, a stakeholder is anyone who was a vested interest in the project or will be affected by its outcome. So, di ba, we are familiar with this naman na, no, kung sino po yung magbe-benefit right after your research. Stakeholder analysis is an exercise in which stakeholders are identified, listed, assessed in terms of their interest in the project and importance for its success, and further dissemination. So the other thing is, all dissemination should have a purpose and should support or inform the project development in some way. The purpose of the activity may be able to first raise awareness, no, na kailangan po natin yung research natin lalo sa educational ngayon. Ano na ba yung mga clamor ng mga students, ng mga parents, no? Naligtas pa ba ngayon? O kaya nga, di ba yung Octa research natin na Octa research group na nagre-raise lagi ng awareness, o is it ligtas ba para lumabas? No, yung mga bubble na yan. Then, inform, educate the community. Ano po, yun nga po yung nangyayari ngayon, no? Kailangan lagi lahat ng sinasabi natin ay research-based. Then the other one, engage, get input, feedback from the community. Kailangan bumababad po tayo, bumabalik tayo kasi this is the saddest part right after the research, no? Minsan nakakalimutan na po natin yung mga tao na kung saan ginawa nating respondents, then kumbaga wala nang balik doon sa community na parang nag-research na lang tayo for our own sake na hindi na natin naibalik sa kanila kung para saan ba itong research na ito. Then promote or sell your outputs and results. So when you say sell, hindi naman po ito monetary. No, ang binabanggit po natin dito is to promote your work, no? Ito po yung bagong findings ngayon na mas gusto po ng mga magulang ang modular kaysa online. Maghanap tayo ng mga maghanap po tayo ng mga research na makikinabang po ang ating komunidad, lalong-lalo na sa mga eskwelahan na ating kinabibilangan. So then the other one, target messages. Think first from the perspective of what they might want or need to hear from you rather than what you want to tell them. No, dito we need to first to diagnose ano ba yung kailangan ng community ko? Ano ba yung kailangan ng mga makikinig sa akin when it comes to the dissemination, no? Yung audience natin. Hindi po natin kailangan gumamit ng mga highfalutin words dito in order to impress our audience. No, ang sinasabi lang natin dito is yung ano ba yung matututunan ng tao. Hangga't maaari gumamit tayo ng layman term, no, in order for us, no, na ma-disseminate natin na maayos yung gusto nating iparating sa mga audience natin. So, first, messages should be clear. No, ito po yung kadalasan na nangyayaring conflict, no, pagka hindi maliwanag yung mga sinasabi natin, ano yung data na sinasabi dito, kailangan klaro po. Messages should be clear, simple, and easy to understand. Use language appropriate for the target audience and use non-technical language where possible. Ano po, ito po yung binabanggit sa atin when we are disseminating some messages. No, tingnan natin yung audience natin, kaya ba nilang lunukin, no, itong mga pinagsasabi natin. Then, the other thing, message should be targeted. Tailor messages to the receiver or receivers. Carefully consider what they should know about the project. It is possible to send the same message to different audiences, but check the relevance of the message to the receiver each time. So, we need also to think, no, anong klase ng receiver po itong mga tatanggap ng message na ito o yung mga sinasabi nating mga results po natin. Then, so target messages again, no? Messages that are actionable. No, after hearing the message, the target audience should understand what actions to take. So anong gagawin right after marinig ng mga tao na ito yung result, no? Ano po yung gagawin nila para maging aware sila on the impact of your research, no, that you have done. So messages may be repeated, no? Pwede pong ulitin natin 'yan kasi para magkaroon ng mastery, at the same time, no, pag nauulit-ulit, mas lalong natatandaan. Enhance impact by coordinating message of different projects related to the same subject, no, the repeating key. Then messages over time reinforce the messages with the target audiences. So the other thing, messages should be factually correct, no? Hindi po tayo nagkakalat ng kung ano-anong hindi reliable yung source or hindi factual yung mga binabanggit nating data. No, use plain language and ensure that information is correct and realistic. So, lalo na in school settings, so President Duterte already approved, no, yung mga some courses na pwede nang mag-conduct ng kanilang pilot testing sa mga colleges nila and universities. So, gaano naman kaya kahanda ang mga schools, no, pagdating po dito. So, again, research na naman 'yan. Ano yung basis natin para masabi natin that our school is ready to conduct this face-to-face class, no, do sa mga pinagbabanggit na mga courses na pwede na. Then, define mode of communication or engagement. While there are a wide variety of dissemination methods, it is important to select the right one to get your message to the target audience and achieve your purpose. No, ito po. Then the newsletters, flyers, and press release can create awareness about the project. Reports, journal, articles, and website can transmit information about the project. Then the other one is conference presentation and websites are ways to promote the project and its outcomes. Then the second one is keep the right profile. So what do we mean by this keep the right profile? whether communicating as individual researcher, a researcher project or research organization, establishing a prominent and unique identity online and offline is essential for communicating. Use personal websites, social media accounts, and research identifiers and academic social networks to help make you and your research visible. Kaya nga napaka-importante na meron tayong mga ORCID na mga numbers natin, no? When we are publishing our works, no? Pag dito po sa mga respected research engines natin, no? Mga research journal online. Then when doing this, try to avoid explicit self-promotion. Your personal profile naturally will develop based on your ability to be an effective and impactful communicator. So, dito, hindi sinasabi nating self-serving. Minsan po kasi akong, sa akin lang minsan yung parang, pinost na lahat sa Facebook, no? Ultimo ganito, konti ganyan. Hayaan natin yung ibang tao. Para sa akin po kasi yun yung parang mas magaling yung nagsasalita sa'yo, hindi ikaw, kundi ang ibang tao for you. No, kasi pag ikaw na yung nagsasalita, nasasabi mo, I'm expert on this, no, ako po'y magaling dito, dalubhasa dito. No, pag parang ganun, parang self-serving yung nangyayari. No, hayaan natin ang ibang tao na speak for us, to speak for us, no, na magsabi na talagang magaling ka pagdating sa larangan ng research. So the third one, encourage participation. No? In the age of open research, don't just broadcast. Invite and engage others to foster participation and collaboration with research audiences. Dissemination is increasingly done at earlier stage of the research life cycle, and such wider and more interactive engagement is becoming an integral part of the whole research workflow. So we need to invite people, no, pag tayo po ay magpe-present ng work natin, no, we need to invite and also engage other people or who are expert in this field. Then ito po, maybe yung iba sa inyo napakaano na po ito sa inyo, familiar na ito, yung Open Science for Impact. Open science is a transparent and accessible knowledge that is shared and developed through collaborative networks as defined by other systematic review. So open science is rooted in the principles of equitable participation and transparency, enabling others to collaborate and contribute to scrutinize and reuse research and spread knowledge as widely possible. No, marami po tayo niyan sa internet na matatagpuan natin. So itong mga na to, yung open science po na ito, no, na wherein we can publish our work here, no, para ma-disseminate yung work mo, yung article mo, yung research mo. Then the other one, ito yung go live, no? In-person dissemination does not just have to be and stoppy conferences. It is possible to hit the road and take part in the science festivals, science lands or TEDx talks and road shows. So maybe itong mga road shows ngayon na ito hindi na siya possible, but meron naman po tayong magagawa, no, lalo naman ngayon online, no, let's go live na we're in, no, na disseminate po natin yung work natin. Syempre we need audience, no, para magkaroon naman ng gana when we are talking about our presentation or our research. Then think visual. So paano po itong visual na ito? Dissemination of research is still largely ruled by the written or spoken word. However, there are many ways to introduce visual elements that act as attractive means to help your audience and understand and interpret your research. O di ba, diyan yung gumagamit tayo ng mga graphs, no po? Diyan yung gumagamit tayo ng mga illustrations wherein, no, na mas maiintindihan ng mga audience natin yung work natin. No, di ba, parang dati may nabasa na ako nung yung through pictures lang, no, pwede pala tayong mag-conduct ng ganon ng research, parang pwede natin siya pampalit as survey questionnaire, no, yung mga picture lang, yung i-analyze nila yung mga pictures, no, na pwede na tayong doon na gagamitin na siyang instrument as research instrument yung mga pictures lang. So disseminate findings through art or multimedia interpretation. Let your artistic side loose of use new visualization techniques to produce intuitive, attractive, and data displays. No, of course, not everyone is trained artist and will be dependent on the skills. So, pagdating po dito, no, di ba ito yung minsan sinasabi nilang bulag, ano, pag sa presentation mo pa lang ng work mo, napakaganda na ng layout, no, all throughout, eh talaga namang kaiga-igayang pakinggan yan. Yung minsan ito yung sinasabi nilang bulag eh. Ano, minsan mas gusto nilang pictures lang, mas konti lang yung words, ano po. Maraming ganyan kasi mga ibang tao no na about mga visual learners, mas gusto nila yan, mas natututo sila sa mga ganyang presentation. Then, the other one is respect diversity. So the academic discourse on diversity has always included discussions on gender, ethnic and cultural backgrounds, digital literacy, epistemic, ideological, or economic diversity. It is an approach that is often taken is to include as many diverse groups into research teams as possible. Kaya nga, di ba, babalik na naman po tayo dun sa mga ethical standards natin and research ethics natin, no, about sa conducting of our research. Ganun din, when we are disseminating our research, we need also to respect these diverse audience that we had. No, lalo-lalo na po yung discussion about gender, no, yung ethnic and cultural backgrounds, napaka-importante po ng mga to. Then according to the 2017 Progression Framework of Benchmarking Report of the Scientific Council, made several recommendations on how to make progress on diversity and inclusion in science. First, strategy and action plan for diversity should develop that requires action from all members included. Then the second thing is diversity should be included in a wide range of scientific activities such as building diversity into prizes, awards, or creating guidance on building diversity and inclusion across a range of demographics into communication and building diversity and inclusion into education and training. So yung pagkakaroon po ng mga ito, we need to strategize, no, yung pag-disseminate ng mga researchers po natin. Then the most important thing is we need to evaluate, no? Dissemination efforts is essential part of the process. Assessing and identifying the most successful practice will give you the evidence for the most effective strategies to reach your audience. So we need to evaluate. In addition, the evaluation can help you plan your further budget and minimize the spending and dedicating efforts on ineffective dissemination method. So that's why minsan pag yun sa binigyan ng budget sabihin kulang, pero the question is, do you evaluate? Baka naman kasi panay ang pakain mo. Now, when we are conducting this research, baka pag nagpakain pa tayo, yung mga mamamahalin pa. Pag nagbigay tayo ng token, yung medyo mamahalin pa, parang ganon. So, we need to evaluate, we need to think of the process that we have done, no? Pagdating po sa dissemination ng mga researches natin. So here are some examples of quantitative indicators that includes, for example, the citation of the publication. So napaka-importante nito na nasa site yung mga papers natin. Hindi lang po sapat na napapublish siya, but also kailangan sinasite din yung work natin. Alternative metrics related to the websites, no, social media platforms, no, na ginagawa po natin, yung mga blogs, no, number of events held for specific audiences, number of participants, ayan, articles were in, specialized press, newsletter, press releases, interviews, etc. How much time and effort we spent on activities. Some example of qualitative naman po, yung kanina, those are quantitative. So here naman qualitative naman, visibility in the social media and attractiveness of website, no? Para nababasa talaga ng mga audiences natin or mga experts in the field. Tons of these contacts, feedback from the target groups, no? And shares feedback within your group on what dissemination strategies seem to be the most effective in conveying your messages and reaching your target audience. Tapos na po tayo dun sa part ng discussion ng dissemination of research. Now we will proceed now to the conceptualizing the further inquiries. No, sa research natin, lagi po nating tatandaan na ang research natin is kahit tapos na yung mga researchers natin na mga limitations, no? Kaya nga we need to inquire more na parang minsan kailangan nating hamunin yung sarili nating research, no? Ano yung sinasabi ng USC Libraries pagdating po sa limitation of our research? So, the limitation of the study are those characteristics of design or methodology that impacted on influence the interpretation of the findings from your research, the result of anticipated challenges that emerge during the study. So, meron at meron pa ring yan, no, sa mga researches po natin, at hindi po kumpleto yan, no, yung research natin, kasi maghahanap pa rin siya ng room for improvement yung mga researches natin. Pero, but then again, bakit po importante yung limitation ng studies natin? First, no, we need to always acknowledge study limitations. Second one, keep in mind that acknowledgement of study limitation is an opportunity to make suggestion for further researches. Di ba yung mga ano ngayon, nilalagay na rin natin yung mga limitations natin sa mga researches natin. Bakit hindi nagawa ito? Bakit hindi siya napasama, no, sa research natin? Claiming limitation is a subjective process because you must evaluate the impact of those limitations. Ano po, tayo mismo sa sarili natin ang makakakita, no, nung mga limitation sa studies natin once na natapos na ito. So ano ba yung mga possible na mga limitation, no, about po dito sa researches natin? First, yung tinatawag nating sample size, no? The member of the units of analysis you use in your study is dictated by the type of research problem you are investigating. Sometimes kasi, no, ang laking epekto po nun nung sample size natin. Baka nagsasampling tayo, no? 10 lang, 15 lang. Minsan may mga sinasabi po, no, na meron ding effect itong ano, yung sample size when it comes to methodological limitation. Then the other one, lack of available and reliable data. No, minsan lalong-lalo na kung yung study mo ay napakabago pa. Ano po, minsan naglalak talaga tayo sa data dahil iilan lang po ang gumagawa ng research na yon. That's why minsan pag maghanap tayo ng sana natin, mga related literature natin, no, related studies natin that we would like to cite, ito po yung minsan nagiging problema, no, yung availability, no, ng mga resources. Then, lack of prior research studies on the topic, no? Ito po. And then the other thing is the self-reported data. Whether you are relying on the pre-existing data or you are conducting a qualitative research study and gathering the data yourself, reported data is limited by the fact that it really can be independently verified. So, napaka-importante po nito. Then, the possible limitations of the research also is the other thing is yung tinatawag natin yung access, no? Pagdating po dito sa ginagawa nating research, yung access. Then, the second thing is about the longitudinal effect. So, who can literally devote years, no, in studying a single topic. The time available to investigate a research problem and to measure change or stability over time is pretty much constrained by the due date of your assignment, no? Kung gaano po nating kahaba ginagawa. Sometimes, yung ibang researches talaga, ano po, meron yung mga research na umabot ng 2 taon, 3 taon, 5 taon pa nga minsan, ano? Then the other thing is yung tinatawag nating cultural and other type of biases, no? Dito pa lang sa pagpili mo pa nga lang ng ano kung sino, lalo pag experimental research tayo, lalo pag sa DepEd, di ba? Papasok diyan yung bias mo pagdating sa pagpili ng audiences. May mga ganong style ng pag-research. Then the other one is the fluency in the language that we are using. Then, what are the other thing that na kino-consider din natin when it comes to the limitation of our study? The structure and the writing style. So first, describe each limitation in detailed but concise terms. Explain why each limitation exists. Provide the reason of each limitation could not be overcome using methods chosen to acquire or gather the data. Or we need to cite other studies that are similar to problems when possible to support our claim. Then the other thing is assess the impact of each limitation in relation to the overall findings and conclusion of your study. And if appropriate, describe how this limitation could point to the need of further research. No? Isa, ano yung future when you identify those limitation you study, so what is your plan? So what are the best tips in organizing the study limitation? First, identify the restraints of your work. What are the limitations that affected your study? How did they influence your conclusion? Describe the restraints and explain why they took place. This section should be short and give more details about what you have encountered in your research. Talk about the importance of the obstacles of your work and how they affect it. Don't be ashamed to talk about it since it's normal thing. There are no perfect studies and researches. As I have said a while ago, there are no perfect studies. Lagi yang may room for improvement. So the other thing, structure your research limitation. First, write a list of all restraints you had. Create a plan for this part and think how long you would like it to be. Write a few drafts to see how this section will fit in the text. So we need to restructure our research limitation. So saang part ba yan ng research ko nagkulang para magawan po natin ng paraan. Then give some thoughts on your future study. So which mistakes would you try to avoid and how? Saan ba ako nagkulang? Sabi nga, saan ako nagkamali? No? Binigay ko na lahat, kulang pa rin. No? O think about the perspective of additional studies. Note problems that you had, try to solve them when working on your next paper. So, pwede nating, sabi nga, kung yung ginagawa mo is part 1, ito na yung part 2 para ma-address natin yung mga limitations na meron. So, yun lamang po yung aking mga binahagi. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig at magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Floyd, for the valuable inputs that you just have shared. For sure, our attendees here in this virtual room have learned a lot from you this evening. So yeah, you are very correct there, Dr. Floyd, in saying that we need to disseminate, of course, the findings that we had from our studies. It is our way of giving back and telling the society, especially those participants from our studies, how our findings could impact their lives, could help them, could benefit them as well. That is why, yeah, you are very correct that in our significance of the study, we have briefly explained there how those persons, how those agencies can benefit from our findings. And through presentations, through organizing colloquia or research presentation, fora, we can share to a larger audience our findings. And who knows, these findings of ours can serve as a basis for policymakers to base their decisions from these findings so that they can come up with sound decisions, with sound policy that we can recommend and later on to become laws or possible, bills or laws based from that research findings. So thank you so much, Dr. Floyd Aquino, once again for your generosity in sharing your expertise in this platform. Before we go, thank you so much. Before we go to the question and answer portion later on, may I request everyone, especially the assigned officer of the ETCOR, for the oath taking of our newly appointed research consultants for this evening. Those consultants are requested to open your camera and of course your audio, so that later on during the oath taking, your voice will be audible. And we can see you as you take your oath of office as consultants. And please, after you took your office as research consultants, please turn off again your camera and your audio, because we will proceed to the open forum. So thank you so much. May I now call on the assigned officer for the oath taking.
Sir, I will
Sir.
personally administer it. Si Dr. Bisaya nandyan yata. si Dr. Ranulfo.
Okay, is Dr. Visaya will be the one who will be the inducting officer, Dr. Richard?
No, sir, I will facilitate the oath of Dr. Bisaya. Sige po, sir.
Thank you so
Pasok
much.
na lang po ng...
Sige po. We will now call on and we will give the spotlight now to Dr. Ranulfo Visaya, our inducting officer, who will facilitate the oath taking of our newly appointed research consultants this evening. Dr. Visaya, please take it away.
Doc, hindi ko na-open yung camera ko, no? Medyo mahina yung connection. Dr. Bisaya, medyo ano po yung ano niyo, camera ninyo, parang I don't know, may nagre-reflect na ano.
Yeah.
Naka-background po ninyo. May virtual background po ba kayo?
It's just my background here sa bahay.
Ganoon po ba? Baka po siguro yung... Sir Cyril, tama ba yung nakikita ko or baka ako lang nakakakita? May ano sa camera ni Sir, no?
Yes, Doc. I can see it also.
Dok, kung okay lang po kahit wala na pong cam.
Okay.
Anyway po,
Okay.
I'm very sure naman na kayo po ang nag-oath at hindi naman po ibang tao. Salamat po.
Sige, thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
so. Sir, kindly raise your right hand and please repeat after me.
Okay. I,
kindly state your
Ranulfo
name,
L.
sir.
Visaya,
Do solemnly and sincerely
do solemnly and sincerely
promise, swear, and declare
promise, swear, and declare
that I will truly and faithfully
that I will truly and faithfully
and to the best of my skills,
and to the best of my skills,
knowledge, and abilities execute the powers and trust repose in me
and trust repose in me
as ETCOR Educational Research Centers,
as ETCOR Research
as ETCOR Educational Research Centers.
Educational Research Centers.
Kindly state the position, sir. Research consultant.
Research consultant.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations po. Welcome
Thank
to
you also.
ETCOR Educational Research Center. Back to you, Mr.
Thank
De
you,
La Fuente.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanchez. My apologies, it is you pala who will induct into office, Dr. Visaya. I thought it was him. And he is the sole newly appointed research consultant inducted tonight. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanchez, for that. And welcome to the family, Dr. Visaya. May we now hear an acceptance speech from you, Dr. Visaya? Please take it away.
It has always been my dream. Good evening, everyone. It has always been my dream to be part of this esteemed organization because this is my way of obtaining additional information, knowledge, and skills. Because I know that this is an avenue for me, wherein there's actually a rich culture of people who put premium on quality research. And at the same time, this is also my way of, getting acquainted with this minded people who have the same cause to push forward the research agenda that will boil down to the greater benefit of the many people. Ever since when I started in the academe, I long for an organization that supports undertakings of researchers in many ways. It may be in the form of disseminating findings to a larger audience or capacitating researchers in many ways. So that's why when I had this opportunity, looking at the people behind this organization, I had no second thought of joining this organization that I believe would help me in my research undertaking. So thank you so much for such a warm welcome, and I hope that this is not the beginning, but rather this is only the beginning of more encounters in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Visaya, for that very heartwarming acceptance speech. So fellow research consultants, you have heard Dr. Visaya as he delivered his acceptance speech as our new member in the family. Again, may I request everyone to give Dr. Visaya a virtual applause, please. So thank you so much for the virtual applause. Now, may I request fellow attendees, participants of this webinar to please open your camera for the photo opportunity. We have two panels. May I make it clear with Dr. Sanchez if you are the one who will
Sige po, sir, ako na
take
po.
a screenshot?
Okay po, ready? 1, 2, 3. Miss Malu, ano po yun? Nagtatas po kayo ng kamay? Baka po napindot.
Sorry
po.
pa.
Sige.
Napindot lang. Hindi ko ma-open yung camera ko. Mahina po.
Akala ko, Doc Mali, gusto
Thank you.
mong mag-solo. Sige. Okay,
Ayan.
ready po. 1, 2, 3. Picture po. Smile. Okay, that's the first po. And yung pangalawa po. Okay, ready po. 1. Huwag po muna kayo magme-message sa ano, para hindi po lumitaw. Okay po. 1, 2, 3, ready, smile. Okay po. Okay na po. Salamat po.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanchez, for documenting our participants this evening. And now let us have this moment for the open forum for the question and answer portion. For sure, our speaker, Dr. Floyd, is very excited to respond to our queries. May I call on again on
Yes
the
po,
line,
sir.
Dr. Floyd? All right. Thank you so much, Doc.
Doc, si Sir Richard po, may I be recognized po?
Yes, Dr. Richard, you are recognized.
Sige po. Hindi po ito tanong. I just would like to commend our speaker, Dr. Floyd Aquino, dahil po sa pagtanggap niya dito sa ating invitation to talk. Originally po, hindi po kay Dr. Floyd Aquino ito. There is someone from Bulacan po na kasama natin na nagkaroon po ng emergency, some personal problems. At in as much as gusto po niya talagang siya ang mag-talk ngayong gabi ay hindi po niya nakayanan because of a certain personal problems po. And we are very lucky naman po that Dr. Floyd Aquino ay hindi po niya tayo binigo. Bagamat sabi po niya, meron na po siyang disclaimer kanina pa lang doon pa lang sa bago siya magsimula ay sinabi na niya na kinakabahan siya because ito nga ay biglaan maliban doon sa topic ay siguro may tuturing itong isang napakahalagang paksa na pag-uusapan natin on the importance of disseminating our research and the invitation for us to continue further inquiry. So maraming salamat po Dr. Floyd at you did great job po. Congratulations po. Back to you po Sir Cyril.
Thank you po, sir.
All right. As I have checked the chat box, so far there are no questions directed for Dr. Floyd. For sure, the participants have clearly understood the sharing of Dr. Floyd. That is why they are very hesitant to maybe to drop the questions. But if you would like to have it directly addressed, you may open the audio and ask Dr. Floyd. You are highly encouraged. But while waiting for those interested parties, please allow me to read some positive comments and feedbacks direct from the chat box. We have here, I would love to, sorry, that is, what I call this? I would like to join the group soon. Oh, another interested party to become member of our family. So thank you, as said by Dr. Visaya. So thank you po, as said by Sir Jeffrey. And thank you po, Dr. Floyd, for sharing. Congratulations, hey, as said by Dr. Gonia. All right, so I guess we also have other comments here from the chat box. I am scrolling up. All right, so we also have participants from We also have Sir Alan Imperial here. Good evening, sir. So far, wala namang question. Okay, another message. Okay, wala. So far, wala namang question.
Sir Lloyd, si Sir Richard po ulit.
Yes po.
Pasensya na po, kung okay lang po, mag-share lang po ako ng konti. Parang follow-up pang support doon sa lecture kanina ni Dr. Floyd Aquino. Alam niyo po, napakahalaga po nung part na sinabi ni Dr. Floyd, particularly yung doon sa limitations part ng isang research. Siguro po, unang-una, tingnan muna natin ano bang pinagkaiba ng delimitations doon sa limitations. Madalas po kasi ang mga researchers natin ay nalilito sa ganyan, di ba? Ang delimitations, yan yung ginagamit natin sa una. Ikaw mismo nilalagyan mo ng coverage, yung dinidelimit mo. Sinasabi mo sa mga research, sa mga mambabasa mo that a particular study is only limited to these following areas, na ito lamang ang gusto mong pag-aralan. Samantalang ang limitations of the study po, usually ito nakikita natin ito sa bandang dulo ng research. Ano po ba ang kahalagahan ng limitations of the study? Bagamat ito po ay nabanggit na rin sa atin ng ating speaker, I just would like to emphasize on this one. Napakahalaga po na binabanggit natin kung ano yung mga bagay na hindi natin nagawa bilang isang researcher. That is a sign of humility. Sabi nga nila, wala namang perfectong research. Kaya it's very important that we admit, tayo mismong mga researcher, sabihin natin sa bandang dulo ng study natin, particularly when we are discussing yung doon na sa bandang findings natin, na bagamat meron tayo mga bagay na nalaman sa particular research na ginagawa natin, there are also things na hindi natin nalaman or maaaring limitado tayo because of certain circumstances. Kaya nga kung mapapansin nyo, di po ba, sa mga research parating doon sa bandang dulo, meron silang recommendations for future study sa mga susunod na mga mananaliksik. Kasi nga po, parang bilang isang researcher, isa sa mga qualities ng isang pagiging researcher ay yung binubuksan mo yung opportunity sa iba na hindi perpekto ang research mo. Therefore, you are inviting other people to deal on the matter na hindi mo napasok or hindi mo napag-usapan doon sa research mo. Kapag po maayos ang pagkakabanggit ng part na yon, yung limitations of the study sa mga ginagawa natin, alam nyo, natutulungan nyo rin po yung mga susunod na researchers. Di ba yung mga susunod na researchers, before they can conduct research, parati silang hinahanapan ng gap, yung tinatawag nating gap in research. Pag magpo-propose ka ng study, pag meron kang gustong paksa na gawin or topic na gustong gawin, ng parating hinahanapan tayo ng mga panel members natin, ng mga advisors natin, what is the gap in the study? Alam nyo, para masagot mo yon, ang napakaganda, kaya nga po sabi ko, connected yung gap in the study at saka yung limitations na binabanggit nung researcher, nung previous researcher. Kasi kung maayos niyang naipaliwanag kung ano ang mga limitations ng particular study na ginawa niya, ikaw na susunod na researcher ngayon, madaling hanapin sa'yo ano yung gap in research. Kasi binabanggit na niya sa'yo ito yung mga hindi niya nagawa, meron siyang mga bagay na nagawa doon sa study niya, pero meron siyang mga limitations, meron siyang mga bagay na hindi nagawa. Therefore, ikaw na susunod na researcher, yung mga bagay na hindi niya nagawa, yun ang gawin mo. Kasi yun yung mga gap in research na pwede niyang gawin. So kaya nga po sabi natin, kapag ginawa mo ng maayos yung part doon sa limitations of the study, natutulungan mo talaga yung mga susunod na researchers. Bakit pa niya kailangang basahin ng paulit-ulit yung study kung pwede mo siyang tulungan, ikaw mismo, ipakita mo na sa kanya ano yung mga bagay na hindi mo nagawa para siya, kapag siya na yung magre-research, nandoon na, available na yung tinatawag nating gap in research. Therefore, tama yung title ng topic ni Dr. Floyd. Once na na-disseminate mo na yung study, once na na-inform mo na yung publiko about sa results ng study mo, hindi pa doon nagtatapos yung research kasi parati yan nagbubukas ng mga susunod na katanungan. Parating merong gap in research. Hindi porke natapos na tayo sa research na disseminate natin, tapos na yung study. Parati siyang mayroong pag nasagot mo na yung isang tanong, meron pang mga susunod na katanungan. And I think that is the beauty of research in the first place. Maraming salamat po. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
All right, thank you so much for additional inputs, Dr. Sanchez. You heard it right, fellow consultants. On point, very well said, according to Dr. Visaya. And I am really happy that we already have some questions here in the chat box. So according to Ma'am Joanna, sana po webinar on action research lalo na po sa public school. And this is somehow not related to the topic pero still connected kasi research. So Dr. Floyd, she is asking if what makes an action research so difficult to realize?
It is difficult to realize po kasi first, lalo kung hindi ka kasi familiar dun sa nire-research mo. As for me, kung gagawin mo yung research mo na hindi ka familiar dun sa part na yon, yun po yung para sa akin. At isa pong lumabas ngayon, actually yung isang research na ginawa ko po ngayon is about the challenges of teachers about the conducting of research. So yung isa sa mga lumabas po na pinakamataas po na bakit nahihirapan ng teachers sa paggawa ng research is because una, kulang po sila sa training and knowledge about research. Lalo po pagdating sa DepEd, pag lalo sasabihin lalo yung mga nasa yung mga mataas nasa may gulang na, yung mga nasa edad na ng pa-retire, sasabihin nila sa iyo, tao gagawa niyan, para sa inyo na lang yan mga bata. Parang ganun na lang yung nagiging po nila eh. So first yun po, yung unang lumabas na yan, yung training for teachers. Ikalawa, yung support, yung support po ng administration. Napakalaking impact po nun, napakalaking bagay po nun, pagdating sa paggawa ng research. Why? Kasi kung ang isang administrator ay research enthusiast, talagang gaganahan kang gagawa ng research. Pero wala ka kasing nakikitang role model mo na nag-i-inspire sa'yo na leader na gagawa ng research. Paano ka gaganahan mag-research if yung mga kasamahan mo, yung mga mas matataas na posisyon ay hindi nagre-research? Minsan sasabihin pa nila sa'yo, oh, you need to research, you need to do this, but the question is, are they doing it? So yun po yung para sa akin na nagpapahirap sa isang research po. Yun po yung isa sa mga bagay na i-take natin, tingnan natin, to realize yung mga yung pagiging kahirapan. Tsaka yung isa ngayon, 'di ba, yung sa pandemic natin, napakahirap din po ngayon mag-conduct ng research. Siyempre, example, yung mga marami tayong kino-consider na mga bagay-bagay po ngayon when we are conducting yung research po natin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Floyd, for that input. Yeah. According to Dr. Johanna, she replied, tama po, ako lang may PhD kaya sa akin ang push, as in pushing lang sila. And she agreed on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Johanna. Another question here, Dr. Floyd, from a participant from the PUP. According to him or her, I was once a DepEd teacher before I entered higher education institution, but I cannot recall the program of the department on follow-ups on published researches. May program po ba ang DepEd for that matter?
Regarding po, actually yung parang may mga nababasa lang po ako ngayon na yung regions, there are regions that they are publishing their works, but there are also regions na na hindi naman nila pinapublish yung work nila ng binded, pero they're publishing dun sa mga mga sites nila. Ang binibigay lang ni DepEd actually yung research guidelines on how to do research, pero pagdating po sa publishable, parang wala pa rin po ako na nababasa regarding diyan sa publishable journal. Siguro ito rin dapat po yung makita ni DepEd na kailangan pinapublish yung mga research work. Though yung iba, pinapublish naman nila, pero parang hindi pa siya, wala pang direct na nagsasabi na kailangan i-publish ang work mo. Kasi minsan po, itong hirap namin sa DepEd po, na ikaw ay magpapapublish. Gusto mo yung research mo, i-publish mo sa ibang, sa ibang mga journal, sa iba't ibang mga site. The thing is, kailangan mo pang magpaalam, lalong-lalo na kung yan ay DepEd funded, kasi may MOA po yan eh. Hindi mo siya pwedeng ipapublish nang hindi ka nagpapaalam sa kanila. Yun yung kasi ng bureaucracy, yun yung isang mahirap na part natin pagdating po sa kagawaran ng ating edukasyon. So kung direct po na nagsasabi na memo or DepEd order na kailangan i-publish siya, wala. Siguro masasabi ko baka best practice ng isang region po yun na o isang division na magkaroon po sila ng research journal pagdating po dyan. Pero in direct na DepEd order parang wala pa po akong nababasa. Only the research guidelines meron pa. Thank you.
May I add to that, Dr. Lloyd?
Yes, sir.
Siguro, yun nga, sa guidelines kasi mismo, completed lang eh. Kahit nga yung, although napaka-konti lang ng mga nagko-conduct ng study no sa basic ed. Hindi katulad sa higher ed na ano ba yung publish or perish yata yung ginagamit sa higher ed eh. Either mag-publish ka or umalis ka na sa trabaho mo. Pero sa DepEd kasi hindi ganoon. Kung titingnan mo nga yung guidelines nila, kahit na napaka-konti lang ng mga nagko-conduct ng study at yung mga nagko-conduct ng studies na yon, kung titingnan mo yung guidelines hanggang doon lang siya sa completion ng study. Wala pa talagang doon sa nire-require na publication. Siguro yung nagtanong noon si Sir Paul dyan, marinig ka ng mga taga-DepEd yung sasabihin nila, kumpletohin nga, di namin makompleto, papapublish pa. Alam mo naman, siguro yung sabi nga ni Sir Doc Aquino, yung marami kasi yung marami yung siguro dahil sa support na rin. Although meron na rin tayong mga funding ngayon, although hindi ganoon kalaki halimbawa sa funding ng sa higher ed. Siguro meron ng mangilang-ilang mga regions or schools division offices na mayroon na silang mga sariling journal nila kung saan napapublish, nakikita na yung importance ng publications. Pero karamihan pa rin sa mga nakikita ko ay wala talaga. Siguro hindi pa, medyo nakikita mo na ng konti pero malayong-malayo pa tayo doon sa ganoong sistema. Thank you po, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanchez, for that additional inputs also. And thank you so much, Sir Paul Jan, for asking that question. Before I proceed to the next question, may I request Sir Ian Linares to directly address your question, because I notice you have raised your hand.
Hi, it's not a question, Doc Cyril. It's just a sharing also no sa higher education kasi parang nangyayari yung mga private institutions are providing their funds para dun sa pursuant na mga research projects ng mga faculty members. And then sa CHED naman, if ever na you get this external grant gaya ng provided nila na Dare to, umabot ng 15 million yung budget for research project, required talaga na magkaroon ng publication. Pero we cannot compare DepEd to CHED kasi may mga different policies din for DepEd and CHED. Yun lang po, na share lang, sir.
Thank you so much, Sir Ian, for that additional enlightenment coming from an experienced, wise teacher also from the basic education. Am I right, Sir Ian? Basic education?
Higher education po, Doc.
All right. My apologies. From higher education.
Okay lang po, no problem.
Thank you. I have also seen here another question coming from Dr. Marvin. Dr. Floyd, he is asking, what is the best way of disseminating research findings?
As for me, yung best way po siguro, first, kung saan mo kinandak, kanina binanggit naman po no yung about sa audience natin. Maybe para sa akin kung sino yung pinagkandakan mo ng research mo, dapat nga sila nga po yung unang dapat makaalam yan yung research na yan. Bakit? Because they are the one na magbe-benefit talaga diyan sa research na yan. Yung para mas maintindihan po nila na hindi mo iniwan sila sa ere, na pagtapos mo silang makuwanan ng ng mga answer nila, after nun wala nang nangyari. Ano nang nangyari dun sa research na naging respondents ako. Napakaganda po siguro na i-disseminate muna natin sila dun sa mga sa mga audience na yon. Ikalawa siguro dun sa school po siguro natin, or sino pa yung mga nilagay natin na pagdating sa significance of the study, di ba, nilalagay natin who are the stakeholders involved. Pagdating po dito, maybe dun sa mga taong yon na binanggit natin na sila yung direct na makikinabang po dun sa research natin, yung pangalawa. And then the third one, kailangan siguro nating i-publish talaga yung mga works po natin para makita po ng ng community of researchers itong ginawa nating research po. Yun po yung para sa akin na best way natin to disseminate this research. Thank you po.
Doc Floyd, may add to that po. Pasensya na po, lagi ako nag-a-add. Pag kasing ang mga tanong nagugustuhan ko, parang kinikilig po ako, kaya gusto ko mag-share eh. Alam niyo po, tama po yung sinabi ni Doc Floyd. Kung minsan, of course, I have nothing to do with the publication, yung pupunta ka sa mga international publication, maganda yan, mas malawak ang ma-reach natin. Pero kung minsan sa pakalayo-layo mo, pero ang pangangailangan pala nandyan lang sa tabi mo. 'Di ba? Kaya nga yung sinasabi ni Doc Floyd kanina na 'di ba pag nagko-conduct ka ng research, merong part yung sa significance of the study kung saan iniisa-isa mo yung mga beneficiaries. This study will be beneficial to the following. Sasabihin mo yung enumerate mo and then explain mo isa-isa paano sila makikinabang. Pero pagdating ng dissemination part, madalas sila yung nalilimutan mo na sila ang beneficiaries ng study mo. Therefore, sila dapat ang unang technically beneficiary or makinabang ng study mo. Sila yung padalhan mo. Kaya nga kung minsan kung di ka sigurado, paano kaya i-disseminate ito, sinong mga audience ko? Di balikan mo yung part ng study mo, yung sa significance of the study, yung mga beneficiaries. Sino yung nakalista doon? Sila yung number 1 mong i-invite. Kung sinabi mo doon na ang beneficiary sa study na to yung school governance operations division ng isang division office, o di padala mo sa kanila yung kopya kung ano yung mga findings mo, anong mga recommendations mo, kasi sinilagay mo silang beneficiary doon, paano sila makikinabang kung hindi naman nakarating sa kanila yung findings ng study mo, yung kopya ng study mo. Ngayon, kung gagawin nila or hindi yung recommendations mo, nasa sa kanila na yon. Basta't ikaw, sinabi mo na etong mga findings mo, etong mga nakita mo, at you're recommending this sa kanila, then bahala na sila kung pakikinggan nila or hindi. Pero ang kagandahan sa'yo, nakita mo na sila ang beneficiary at pinadala mo ito para sa kanila. Yung kumbaga yung wag ka munang magpakalayo-layo kung saan mo i-disseminate kung merong mga nandiyan na sila dapat ang number 1 na makinabang, makaalam doon sa findings ng study mo. Thank you po. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richard. I want also to give additional input on that. You may also invite those agencies or their representatives to attend in your research colloquia or fora so that they can hear it directly during the presentation, your findings. All right, so thank you so much. We have again here another question from Mama Lou. She is asking how to gather data if one source of it is not participative, especially concerning financial or revenue matters. So thanks. Dr. Floyd?
Isa po dun sa nabanggit po kanina natin na another pwede natin magawa regarding dissemination is to evaluate. No, i-evaluate natin, tsaka yung isa pa nga is to assess, no, i-diagnose muna natin kung may kakayanan ba itong mga participants natin na i-ano po nila itong research na ito. So kung halimbawa po yung the concern is financial, so we need to evaluate, kailangan ko pa bang ituloy ito, no, if hindi na kaya, no, yung pagpondo po pagdating dito sa research na ito. Kasi nga kailangan talaga natin ng dito, lalo kung parang never pa naman po ata ako nakarinig ng research na hindi napondohan, na kailangan mo talaga magpondo. Di ba nga tayo sa DepEd, kami po kasi sa DepEd, meron po tayong yung cost estimates na sinasabi, gagastos ka talaga. Minsan hindi naman galing yan sa pondo, sa MOOE ng school. Yun po ay sarili mong bulsa talaga, ang panggagalingan nun, no? So here, siguro bago ka mag-target ng ng research, tingnan mo muna if yung mga respondents mo are capable enough, no, para ma-sustain lang yung pagdating po dito sa sources natin na sinasabi po. Yun po. Thank you.
Hello po. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Opo, bali po, Bali, hindi ko siya nakita na kasi nasa gitna na ng yung research, nasa gitna na siya. Na-start na, nasa gitna na. Hindi ko siya nakita na isa sa mga respondents, actually LGU siya, ay hindi magpa-participate. Bali, parang 10 LGU. Hindi ko nakita yung isang LGU nun ay hindi magpa-participate. Ayaw talaga magbigay ng data. So, nakagather na ng data, yung, for example, 10 LGU, nakagather ng data ng siyam na LGU. Yung isang LGU po, hindi po talaga siya nagbibigay ng data. So, nag-start na po yung research, kumbaga. Nasa chapter 4 na, parang gano'n chapter.
May before na ano po, minsan 'di ba parang may mga MOA ano po tayo diyan, yung parang mga letters, may mga MOA tayong ginagawa. Bakit siguro naman karapatan din po nating magtanong kung hindi ba binigyan natin sila ng sulat and then may memorandum of agreement naman yan na pagka ganito ang ginawa mo, 'di ba po, maybe you need some explanation din pagdating po doon sa ano na yan, bagay na yan. So I think siguro isang aral din po siguro sa atin pagdating sa research yung magkaroon tayo ng MOA, lalo kung i-involve natin itong mga LGU po natin at kung ano man po yung mga kinakailangan nating data para may panghawakan din tayo in case na sila po ay mag-back out pagdating dito sa research. Though, di ba minsan naman kasi dun sa informed consent natin, minsan naglalagay din tayo dun ng mga sinasabi natin doon na minsan may mga wordings doon na parang pagka pwede ka mag-withdraw in any time. Pero magkaiba po kasi pagka may MOA tayo eh. Yun po siguro yung isang dapat nating maano dito pagdating sa bagay na yan. Maybe siguro pwede rin po tayo mag-letter of inquiry para magkaroon lang din po ng closure. Bakit ayaw nyo pong magbigay ng data ng ganito para siguro pwede nating i-state no pag sa research natin or sa mga future references natin na pwede nating pwede nating i-recommend na kailangan pag sa susunod na para maiwasan yung mga ganitong problema, i-ayos po natin yung mga kung sino po yung mga magiging respondents din po natin.
Sige po. Salamat po, Doc.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Ate Malu, pag ayaw na, wag mo nang pilitin. Ganyan talaga yan.
Kasi Doc, Doc political.
Oh, di ba sa research naman pag ayaw na anytime, minsan kahit walang dahilan, no?
Medyo kalaban sa
Sige, biro lang po yun. Thank you po.
Salamat.
All right. Thank you so much, Mama Lu, for raising that question. And of course, Dr. Floyd for objectively and accurately answering that question. We have here again, as we get more, as the discussion is getting more interesting, we are receiving here some questions also. And we have here a question from Ma'am G. Natividad, another fellow from a state university, but her question directs the concern of the DepEd teachers. She is asking, Dr. Floyd, what incentives do DepEd teachers get in conducting research? Ano po motivation nila to conduct and publish research? Please take it away.
Okay po, unang-una po, there is, sabi nga natin, may kanya-kanya pong dahilan kung bakit ang tao gumagawa ng research na ganyan. No, iba-ibang intention because of sinasabi natin individual differences. Maybe merong iba-ibang nagtutulak po na kung bakit nila kinakonduct yung research. In the state of DepEd naman po, meron naman mangilan-ngilan na dahil unang-una, nakikita talaga nila yung problema. That's why they are conducting research. Kasi pagdating naman po talaga, di ba, nagre-research tayo because we want to create policy. So dapat kailangan, if we want policy or if we want changes sa ating sa ating kagawaran, we need to support it, yung mga claim natin. Bakit kailangan natin siyang baguhin? Kailangan naka-research base po. Kaya kung bakit natin gustong magkaroon ng pagbabago sa mga polisiya, mga ginagawa, mga practices natin, in order for us to change it, we need to conduct research. Siguro isa pa pong pangalawa, malaki po kasi ang kinalaman ng research pagdating po sa promotion. Yan po yung isa sa mga nakikita ko. Ako talaga, ang laking tulong po ng research pagdating po sa promotion. Actually, sa lahat na yata ng ng DepEd, kailangan si research kahit anong position mo. mapa supervisor yan, mapa principal yan. Kailangan talaga si research, lalo na po yung mga nag-aspire ng master teacher. Pag ikaw ay may research, full-blown, 12 points po agad yun. Kaya yan ang isa sa mga nakikita ko po na karamihan sa nagiging sakit ng mga pag nagpaparang po. Ang lamang ang ganda ng edge mo pag ikaw may research ka. Kasi yun po yung parang edge mo, yung magpapaangat sa iyo sa iba, yung pagka may research ka, ang laking tulong po na pagdating sa promotion. Pero but then again, kailangan lagi nating babalikan yung dahilan kung bakit tayo nagko-conduct ng research. Is it because gusto nating makatulong? Ako po, yun po yung ideya ko kasi pagdating sa research yung promotion, yung monetary, second na lang po yan Para sa akin kasi yung pag nagko-conduct ka ng research, may gusto kang mabago pero wala para sa yun po yung lagi ko sinasabi sa mga teachers when they are conducting research. It's not only for promotion, it is also para makatulong din sa mga bata. Kasi yan ang lagi, gusto mong gumawa ng program, gusto mong gumawa ng mga i-implement mo sa school. Laging itatanong sa iyo dyan bakit mo gagawin yun? Kasi yan po yung maganda doon, may data tayo. Bakit mo gusto magpagawa ng mga ganitong project innovation, project ganito, 'di ba? Sa DepEd pa naman, minsan mahilig tayo doon sa mga kung ano-anong anek na mga pangalan, yung mga may ibig sabihin po, project Smile, project ganito. Syempre, lagi yan may basis. Ano yung basis po natin? Yung ni-research mo. Yun po yung napaka-importante, yung kagandahan ng research. Ano po? Sana yun yung sa akin pag sa DepEd, yun lang naman po siguro yung mga ibang nakikita ko na dahilan kung bakit din po sila nagko-conduct ng research. Yun nga, pinaka number 1 talaga para makatulong po sa kagawaran ng edukasyon. The same time, inahanap din po kasi MOBs na ikaw ay mag-conduct ng research, lalo po kami mga master teachers, we tend we are obliged to do researches po. Yun po yung sa amin pagdating sa mga master teachers. Then yung pangatlo nga po, yun, syempre may mga funding din naman na nagmumula din po sa DepEd, yung tinatawag nating mga BERP, yung Basic Education Research Fund. Actually last May, June po yata, ni-launch nila yung national na about sa funding ng na umabot pa ng 500,000 o gusto niyo yun yung na yan, pero ako suntok sa yung 500,000 na yun na isa mo lang igagrant sa yung 500,000 na pag-aano po ng parang yun nga po. Pero may mga funding din naman po na may mga nakiklaim naman, though hindi naman ganong kalakihan, pero parang masaya ka na nakakatanggap ka ng ganong halaga. At higit sa lahat, yun para sa akin ang research is para makatulong at lalong-lalo na kung gusto kang may mabago. Yun po, salamat po.
Thank you so much, Dr. Floyd. Yes, Doc, you are correct there, especially in the innovation projects. We make sure that the titles of our projects are catchy. There are lots of acronyms with meanings, and those titles are really catchy, somehow to arouse the attention of the readers as well. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Floyd, and for our colleague who asked that question. Yeah, according here in our chat box, pero ang birth grantee ka, you have 30,000 for action research, and for the basic research, that's 150,000. Okay, it's a cold cash for everyone, for the lucky, for those lucky ones. So, however, he added, in as much gusto po namin mag-publish ng research, kaso sariling bulsa talaga. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that one. So we also have another one. Region 5 has a publication called Surat Bicol, but only for those researchers funded through the birth grant facility. So great, DepEd Bicol, congratulations. All right. And Dr. Floyd, we also have another question here. Meron din sa local government unit, inalis ng research funding using the special education fund. Kasi sabi nila meron naman na daw na DepEd funding. That is according to Sir Jeffrey. Any reaction for that, Dr. Floyd?
Actually po nasa po kasi yun sa mga LGU, meron pong yung para sa mga research fund na actually hindi nila tinanggal kumbaga parang tawag doon, diversion of fund yung nagganap. Karaniwan po nawala yung research na yung minsan namin natatanggap ka na pera pagdating sa LGU pag gumawa ka ng research. Actually, ganun din po naging practice din po sa amin na nawala yung ano namin, yung research natin, pinalitan lang ng ito, yung communication allowance, yun na yung tinawag doon, pero pinaano na po nila yung research. Kumbaga, iniba nila yung style kasi ito nga yung binibigay, parang ganun nga po. Yun nangyari din.
That's very correct. Thank you so much, Dr. Floyd. As I have checked the chat box, we have no more questions here, but I guess what are drop here are just some positive reactions like a very insightful and intellectual discussion. Okay, meron pang tatlong virtual clap. So thank you so much for dropping that. Correct, Doc. Bakit ka lalayo kung nandiyan naman siya, di ba? Ha. Okay, I guess this is from Dr. Richard as he reacted to your previous reaction or comment, Dr. Floyd. This one question was asked already, was addressed. So thank you so much po, Doc Richard and Dr. Floyd. Problem po kasi yan sa basic ed before for compliance lang talaga siya, even thesis. And then tawa mas ako sa anek-anek mo, Doc Floyd, added by Dr. Richard. All right. Okay, pagandahan po ng project according to Dr. Gonia. Oh, may habol pa. So isa pa rin po sa mga problems sa mga DepEd division, isa lang po ang nag-evaluate ng research. Kaya marami din po na nababawasan ng motivation sa paggawa. Reaction mo, Dr. Floyd?
Yun nga po, yun din yung isang nakikita ko ring problema po talaga na minsan nawawalan na yung yung kumbaga yung momentum mo na magsulat kasi talagang minsan po pag isa lang yung nagche-check ng research pag siguro yun nga po yung sinasuggest ko nga sa division din po namin na sana magkaroon ng panel of experts on research. Bakit? Para mas mapabilis po yung pag-check ng researches natin kasi pag hindi po natin yung parang nawawala din ng gana talaga pag nawawala yung excitement mo sa paggawa niyan. Yun po. Tsaka yung minsan kasi ang nagiging problema pag sobrang yung ang dami ng check ganito. Pero tinanggap ko na po sa sarili ko yun na kailangan tanggapin natin na talagang kulang na kulang yung kaalaman pa. Siyempre may alam pa rin sa'yo pagdating dyan. Kaya ako tinanggap ko na po na hindi ko mo nagpasa na ako ng pangalawang beses ng research ay tapos na. Hindi po. Lagi kong tatandaan ko lang sa dulo, ma-approve ka rin kahit anong mangyari. Magsawaan tayong dalawa. Pasa ka lang ng pasa, yun lang naman po yung akin pagdating diyan. At siguro in your school, meron naman po talaga sigurong magagaling diyan na pagdating sa research. Siguro buo po ng grupo, no? Kung halimbawa konti po isa lang po yung nagche-check sa isang division kasi isa lang yung natin yung item natin para sa mga research siguro sa research yung nagche-check yung SEPs for research meron po yun isa lang niya talaga tingnan niyo naman yung ratio ilan po tayong ilan tayong teacher tapos isa lang yung research research nag-approve ng mga papers natin kaya siguro napakabigat din na responsibilidad siguro yun po rin yung pinapaalala din sa amin as research manager na kailangan bago mapunta sa DO i-check muna ng maayos as research manager para konti na lang yung i-check nung nandun sa DO pero yun nga rin po I do suggest baka pwede nyo rin po i-suggest sa inyong mga division na sa inyong school gumawa po kayo ng mga panel of experts on research or kundi man yung may kaalaman pagdating po sa paggawa ng research yun po para mas maengganyo din natin yung ibang kasama natin sa paggawa din po ng research.
Thank you so much for your game reactions and responses for all the queries, Dr. Floyd. And we also thank our participants for your active participation, especially on dropping your inquiries in the chat box. This really make our forum or webinar this evening very interactive and very successful. Thank you so much. At this moment, may I request, since I have not seen any question anymore at the chat box, maybe we can proceed now to the next part of the program. May I request Dr. Sanchez to please send at the chat box the evaluation link These evaluation links also are sent in your emails, I believe. And I guess this was sent earlier in the chat box. Just scroll up and evaluate. Don't forget the evaluation link. Thank you so much. Here it is. Dr. Sanchez has just sent in the chat box. Please don't forget to evaluate, colleagues. All right. At this moment, because we really value and appreciate your effort and expert and services extended and shared in this forum, Dr. Floyd, please allow us to present to you the certificate of recognition. Dr. Sanchez, can you please flash on the screen our token of appreciation to Dr. Floyd?
Hindi siya naka-ready daw. Kakala ko ikaw mag-share. Basahin mo na lang.
All right, my apologies for that. Dr. Floyd, I have here in my cell phone save actually. Please accept our apologies on that. So ETCOR Educational Research Center, Santa Ana, Pampanga, Philippines presents the certificate of recognition to Dr. Floyd G. Aquino, Research Consultant at ETCOR Educational Research Center for his invaluable time and expertise as a resource speaker in the national webinar on quantitative research of ETCOR Educational Research Center held on September 15 and 29 and October 13, 2021, and conducted under the advocacy project Sagip Mananaleksi for Everyone, with advisory, of course, from the Department of Education. So this is signed by Bernadette L. Hardy, LPP, MAGC, PhD, Overall Project Coordinator, and Richard D. Sanchez, LPP, PhD, Head Research Consultant. Congratulations, Dr. Floyd. Virtual clap, please, for Dr. Floyd G. Aquino.
Thank you so much po, ETCOR. Salamat po.
Thank you po, Dr. Floyd. And now, please allow me to do a little promotion for our ETCOR's next events. We would like to invite you, fellow research consultants, to join the newly born journal. I guess the title of that is I Joined. You are all encouraged to contribute your knowledge, your articles, especially in that journal. And of course, you are also encouraged to apply now or to nominate potential applicants or awardees for our international awards for researchers and educators coming December. I guess the deadline for that is on November 16. I was reminded earlier by Dr. Sanchez. We are all encouraged, actually. We are welcome to apply for that very prestigious and highly esteemed award. We would like also to promote ETCOR's official t-shirt and polo shirts being sold by Blueprint Shop, owned by Dr. Mark Joseph B. Sangil. We would like to remind you that we don't own this t-shirt printing business. We just, out of the generosity of Dr. Sangil, we just a beneficiary of a certain percentage out of the sales coming from that t-shirt. And you are all encouraged to contact Dr. Sangil if you find it very interesting. You may find Dr. Sangil Facebook page easily. I guess that will be sent in your respective emails. And of course, thank you so much, everyone. At this moment, we would like to call on Teacher Maria Cristina G. Bagas, Master Teacher 1 of Sucat Elementary School from the Schools Division Office of Parañaque City, to deliver with us her closing message. Ma'am Bagas, please take it away.
Yes po, thank you so much, Sir Cyril S. de la Fuente. Today, we've just finished another learning opportunities to continuously add the repertoire of antidote to ignorance. Let me reflect to thank our speaker, Dr. Floyd G. Aquino, for his dynamic and profound sharing of wisdom. Dr. Floyd, saludo po ako sa iyo. Maraming salamat. To our head research consultant, Dr. Richard D. Sanchez, Dr. Bernadette L. Harde, and Dr. Adrian Lawrence P. Carvajal, for untiring actions for learning enhancement as they continue to initiate programs like we had today. And most of all, to us participants, our research consultants, for display of undying interest for learning and development, which in turn will make our future generation be a person molded by the teachings based on the principles of the research-based learning. Well, Dan, we wish you all the best of luck. Ika nga, kung may face-to-face, Kung doong face-to-face may gabi ng parangal, sa new normal may gabi ng pag-aaral. Ang dami po naming natutunan. With that, maraming salamat, mabuhay at magandang gabi po.
Thank you so much for that, Ma'am Bagas. Once again, thank you so much. And congratulations, Dr. Floyd, for that very successful sharing of your expertise. And we would like to thank you once again, fellow colleagues, fellow research consultants, for your presence this evening. Thank you so much. May you all be safe and sound as we are all facing this pandemic. So thank you so much for your participation. This is Cyril S. de la Fuente from the University of Antique, your moderator for tonight. Thanking you once again. Thank you so much for the trust to be your moderator.